Birds fascinated her. She didn't know anything much about them, but she did, and she could have watched them all day. Birds were better, far better than television. If she scattered breadcrumbs on the grass at whatever time of the day, the birds would arrive in all directions in less than a minute. How did they know? She had a couple of feeders hanging outside her kitchen window. She kept one filled with nuts and the other filled with balls. Small birds came for those nuts and fat balls in the morning, inches away from where she sat on the other side of the grass. If she moved suddenly, they flew off, but they were only away for a few moments. Greenfinches, sparrows, chiffinches, robins, tits of various denominations. If they squabbled, it did not seem about anything very serious. Some mild breach of protocol, perhaps. They even seemed to queue, waiting their turn to ham from the feeders and chirp away at the food. There were a couple of sparrows who stationed themselves underneath the feeders, catching debris, and she was surprised that only they seemed clever enough to have worked out all the way of benefiting from the efforts of the others. But perhaps it was demeaning. Perhaps those ground-feeding sparrows were considered vulgar, ill-mannered. Still, they too were tolerated. We have something to learn from birds, she thought. They were around long before us, and they'll be here long after we're gone. What have they learnt from us? Nothing. Even my putting out food for them is a mere convenience. If those feeders were empty, they would go somewhere else to eat. I sit here watching them and ignore them until I move. And their reaction is an instinct in which we call fear, but that is only the name for it. It is not fear, it is survival. And when she finally got up, conscious that she could not sit forever, that there was many responsibilities pressing upon her, that she thought remained, the birds had no fear. And why was that? It was because they had no sense of the end of life. All they knew was to be alive. It is she who had fear.